Good day, it is I, ThatLostGamer. Today I am going to show off some of the easiest levels in Just Shapes and Beats. Now these levels will be played in normal mode, so that way they will be the most optimal easy as possible. Now this is my personal pick for top 10, yours may be different, but these are mine.
Number 10.
Legacy. Basically, if you can dash, you can beat this level. The level starts off pretty easy. All you have to do is dash across the line of spike balls and avoid a couple more spike balls and laser. It's that easy. The level really does not change up at all. Instead, you have some walls you have to dash through and not much enemies at all. It's just wave after wave of spike ball walls that you have to dash through. You don't even have to be that precise because they're not really that close. And even when they do look like they're kind of close, you can just go up or down and avoid the spike walls. Now there is one spot right here that might be kind of challenging for some people where you gotta avoid the lasers at the same time, but that's it. That is basically the only thing that is challenging about this level. Things get kind of interesting around the end, but it's really not that dangerous. Despite how much is moving around the screen, all you have to do is move up and down slightly, and you will be fine. It's all moving really slow, so you can react to everything. And then you beat Legacy.
Number 9.
Spectra. Now the reason I think this level is easier is because things are more This level is more predictable than the previous one. There's no particles in this level, and the RNG is very safe. The hazards are never unpredictable, except for the enemies that spawn in the middle of the tiles. That's pretty much the only thing that keeps you moving. Now, it is possible to kind of lose track of the attacks as you're dodging the hexagons spawning in the middles, and that is one of the very few hazards that you actually have to watch out for in this level. The level is very short, and the ending attack is very easy to dodge. There's two ways you could dodge it. One, you could go around, or you could just kind of play with the level jank. The hitboxes are circles, so that means the end of the hexagons actually do not have hitboxes. So you're able to just sit there and let the level never hit you, and you don't even have to move at the end. This is a very short level, and before you know it, you beat Spectra.
Number 8.
The Art of War. Now this is the first relaxed level that's in story mode, and most people will know this level as the easiest level in Just Shapes and Beats. But I come to tell you, there are easier levels than this. I always thought that the movement patterns of these enemies felt a lot like pollen, so your allergies have caused you to avoid the pollen moving around the screen, and then you have to go on to survive your immune system with the DNA strands in the pollen coming from everywhere. Now you actually do not have to dash through 90% of the level, but as soon as we start getting near the end, there will be some precise dashing sections. But for now, you actually can just slide along the circles, avoid having to do anything. Halfway through the level, there's a lot of spray that goes around, but it's so slow that you can literally just park yourself in a spot that looks safe and sit there. And then at the very end, here's the section that you'll actually do some precise dashing. It's the only part that could be challenging. And then you beat Art of War.
Number 7.
Chronos. Despite being one of the first levels that you will play in Just Shapes and Beats, I think that it has some quick reaction speed, which is hard for new players. There's a lot of small particles and a lot of fast lasers, as well as a giant exploding ball which shoots really fast particles. Apart from a couple key points, this level is really not that hard, but the reaction speed can be difficult for new players, especially if you don't know what kind of enemies to expect. I also think that the RNG with the giant lasers can be difficult as well. There is really not much to say about this level other than avoid the big lasers, avoid the particles, and then you beat Chronos.
Number 6.
Yokumen Stage. I just realized something as I was recording this. The easier the levels get, the less there is going to be for me to actually describe about each of the levels. Now, this one is a spray and pray style level with very little going on. At the beginning of the level, you just stay at the left side and avoid a couple obstacles going across the screen. It's not very hard, and throughout the level, there's some spikes that move across, and they are extremely easy to avoid. You don't even need to dash. You just move up and down, or you could dash. It's not hard. Just hug the top or bottom and dash across the 1 or 2 attacks that go across. Lasers have plenty of warning, and the lines that spawn that go across the screen are pretty darn easy to avoid as well, with ample time to avoid them. Again, this is a very short level with very few objects going across the screen. And then you beat Yokuman's stage.
Number 5.
Logic Gatekeeper. Now again, this is one of the first levels that most of you will play, and for good reason. There's not much going on in this one. Unlike the previous starting level, there are actually more safe zones in this one. Like in the beginning here, just stay on the top and avoid a couple particles that happen to go up. But for the most part, you're sitting through over half of the level in one spot that you don't even need to move. The only reason this isn't higher up is because these lasers are fairly fast and fairly big. These are the only thing in the level that makes it slightly challenging. After that, you got to avoid some circles that pop up, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else in this level. And then you beat Logic Gatekeeper.
Number 4.
Milky Ways. This level is picked because you barely have to move through this level. It's just sit there and make minor movements. The level style doesn't really change much. You just gotta sit kind of on the outside of the level a little bit and make small changes, but there's nothing really threatening in the entire level. You can almost say the level has more bark than it has bite. Just a lot of sitting and not much else to this level. And before you know it, Milky Ways is beaten.
Number 3.
Houston. Now, this level was on a lot of people's top 10 easiest levels, and I can see why. Again, slow-moving objects, small lasers, very minor amount of movements that you have to make to beat this level. There are some minorly fast-moving projectiles that you have to avoid, but not very many. This part can be kind of tricky if you don't really know how to move up and down, but if you do know how to move up and down, it's not that hard. And then this part can be a little claustrophobic, especially if you do what I did. But if you pay attention to the timing, the lasers, you don't even have to be that fast to reflex. It's just a little bit of timing. It does get a little kind of challenging, I guess, at the end here with the lasers and the small space. But it's pretty darn easy compared to some of the other levels in Just Shapes and Beats. And then we beat Houston.
Number 2.
Strike the Earth. I believe this is one of the easiest levels in the game for a very good reason. You almost don't have to watch out for anything if you know where the safe zone is. You first have to avoid the first attack. This is a quarter of the way through the level and you didn't have to do anything. And you can just move up to the top and see where I'm sitting right here. You are safe in this general zone for pretty much 90% of the level. You might have to move a tiny bit left, tiny bit right, tiny bit up, or tiny bit down, but generally, if you stay in this box right here, nothing's gonna hit you. So we're halfway through the level, and there are some enemies here that you do have to kind of dodge around. The attacks are a little goofy. This is why it's not my top number 1 easiest level. So now that we're past those obstacles, now again, we're just going to literally sit here through most of the level. Now at this point, we're just going to stay at the top and avoid this very slow turning enemy here. Oh my gosh, I had to dodge 3 times before it went away. And then it's back to just sitting at the top and avoiding for the rest of the level. And after that last attack, we have beaten Strike the Earth.
Number 1.
Unlocked. Now, some of you have nailed it. This is by far the easiest level in Just Shapes and Beats. Now notice how the level started and I have not moved yet. Now, depending on what kind of RNG you get, you might actually have to move, or you could be what I'm doing right now, is just the lazy bones and sitting there through a majority of the level. Now, I did have to move a little bit right there because of some of these stripy boys coming across the screen, but as you can see, you do not have to move much through this level. At this point, now the attack is going to charge up, and it takes absolutely forever to get there. So you're just sitting here, waiting for it to finally attack. Sitting and waiting, waiting and sitting. So all you have to do is know how to dash. Just a small dash. It's just not even that big of a dash. Now, as you can see, I just had to do 4 dashes here, and that's it. You have beaten this level. 4 little dashes and maybe a move or 2 unlocked is by far the easiest level in Just Shapes and Beats. There's one ultimate question that Just Shapes and Beats has never answered, and it's that,